On June 1, 1898, a man named Charles Frederick Holder managed to pull out a 183-pound tuna fish after a tough fight that lasted 3 hours and 45 minutes on an island located in Southern California, in the US, called Santa Catalina. And this was the starting point of men falling in love with this food called tuna. However, Americans didn't eat tuna in ancient times. Numerous shoals of tuna have been flocking in the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean, and the Gulf of Mexico surrounding North America since long before, and tuna bones have been found in thousands of years-old ruins. There are records of Native Americans eating tuna by Europeans, but it is told that most Americans didn't consume it until the 20th century. Not only they just didn't eat it, but more likely they hated tuna. When a huge Atlantic bluefin tuna, which can weigh more than 680 kilograms, was caught up in the fisherman's net, it devoured other fishes there. And once it's full, it got out destroying the net and just swam away, which is the reason why American fishermen despised tuna and considered it a fish to avoid. Additionally, Americans thought very poorly of tuna as food. In an encyclopedia published in 1862, it is stated that even though the flesh of tuna is similar to pork and tastes good, it is only used as bait for catching fish in the US. And each theologist wrote that tunas are really big and there were a lot of them, but almost no effort was made to catch them. And tuna was often used to feed chickens, but rarely eaten by people. Nonetheless, since it is still a fish, tuna was consumed as a delicacy in some coastal areas or occasionally even appeared on the menu of some of the finest restaurants in the US. It was mainly targeted at a small group of Americans who had visited the Mediterranean region, where tuna has been part of the local culinary culture for a long time, and Europeans from there. The overall opinions of Americans about tuna were too oily and dull, unappetizing to the human taste in general, and it's so disgusting that no housewife or chef buys tuna, among others. For this reason, tuna was cheaper than any other fish, and it was just left to rot to be used as fertilizer or extract oil from it to light a lamp. In this context, in the summer of 1886, a naturalist named Charles Frederick Holder carrying fishing gear arrived on Santa Catalina Island in Southern California. Santa Catalina Island was a place where large shoals of tuna flocked to the coast in summer, and Charles Holder came in determined to catch this giant fish. On the other hand, the local fishermen of the island used a method to catch tuna that consisted of tying a thick string with a needle and bait to a boat or pier and throwing it into the sea. Then when the tuna gets hooked, it fights for its life against the boat or the pier, and after a few minutes, the fishermen dragged out the all-drained tuna. Charles Holder, who thought that this method wasn't gentlemanlike since it doesn't even give the fish a fair chance to fight the human for its own life, went out to sea with a freshwater fishing rod and reel and cast the rod where tunas were freely jumping. But every single time they ran away cutting the line, so eventually, he ran out of the fishing line and came back empty-handed. But Charles Holder did not give in. Afterward, he came back to the island every tuna season, and after 12 years of wrecking countless fishing gears, in June 1898, he finally succeeded in landing an 83 kilograms tuna. 2 weeks later, he founded the Tuna Club on the principle of tuna fishing using a rod and reel, and this was the starting point for the spread of deep-sea sport fishing in the US. At that time, sport fishing was a luxury culture enjoyed exclusively by the British upper class. Therefore, many prominent Americans, including former presidents and future presidential candidates of the United States, became members of the Tuna Club. As their activities became widely known through several newspapers and magazines, tuna has gained the reputation of the star of the sea, instead of the worthless trash fish that it was considered before. Of course, just because its reputation has improved, it didn't lead to Americans eating tuna right away. Even the members of the Tuna Club, the very ones who changed tuna's reputation, said that when catching tuna, they usually took it home stuffed, not for eating. It was the canned tuna that made tuna a popular food among Americans across the whole country. Even before tuna became the star of the sea, the canning industry of fish such as salmon and sardines has been already developing. Located in the coastal area of Los Angeles, There was a company called California Fish Company that produced and sold canned sardines and mackerel. In 1903, sardines disappeared completely on the southern coast of California, and California Fish Company faced a major crisis. Not knowing when the sardines will be back again, the company searched for diverse fishes in the area, and tuna was one of them. That was the first attempt at canning tuna in the US. And the review of this first canned tuna was that it was too oily, tasted too strong, and looked unpleasant due to its dark brown color. However, California Fish Company fixated on tuna for some reason, selected a tuna called albacore that has more white flesh, and after perfecting the manufacturing process for many years, they achieved a canned tuna that is white, low in fat, with a mild taste, and firmer than other fishes. Now, how to feed the public with this new food canned tuna has become the following major challenge for California Fish Company was to figure out how to feed people with this newly developed food that was canned tuna. Their strategy was to advertise canned tuna as the chicken of the sea. The initial advertising phrase was, "The appearance of white meat tuna is very similar to chicken and also tastes slightly similar." And this strategy was a total success, leading to a rapid increase in sales of new canned tuna. As sales volume soared, other canning companies also started producing canned tuna, and their advertising concept presented was the chicken of the sea as well. So, through diverse advertising media, canned tuna was promoted as something that looked like chicken, tasted like chicken, and could be mistaken for chicken. Consequently, the price of canned tuna gradually decreased due to the fierce competition between canning companies. And in the end, canned tuna became an inexpensive food product that anyone could buy. Afterward, when World War I broke out, the value of canned tuna was truly rising. Since it didn't require cooking and is cheaper than any other meat, it became an excellent source of protein during wartime. In the case of England, they imported a massive amount of canned tuna from the United States, and the assessment of this food at the time was that it was a perfect treasure. Moreover, in 1917, as the U.S. joined the war, the U.S. government encouraged a meatless day weekly or every 2 weeks. During this time, canned tuna became well known as an excellent substitute for meat and as a healthy food containing good protein, vitamins, and others. By the 1920s, canned tuna had been established as a staple food in the U.S., and diverse tuna dishes such as tuna salad, tuna omelet, and tuna sandwich, among others, became widely popular through numerous recipes published in canned tuna companies' promotional brochures. After the Great Depression in 1929, during the difficult times of World War II, canned tuna left a deeper impression on Americans. And later on, with the introduction of Japanese cuisine such as sushi and sashimi, they started enjoying raw tuna as well. Now, tuna has risen up from being the trash fish to one of the most popular fish in the United States.